Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video we are continuing our conversation with Kevin Duggar, the owner of Ride1Up. In our first installment, Kevin gave us a little bit of a state of the electric bike industry, talked about some of the things that are going on behind the scenes, and in this video he talks a little bit more about Ride1Up, what we can expect in the future, some updates they have coming, and of course answered some questions from the Facebook group. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I've covered Ride1Up electric bikes quite a bit. And I have one favor to ask of you. If you've been enjoying some of my content and you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Of course, likes on my videos also help quite a bit. And if you're looking to purchase a Ride1Up electric bike, please use the link in the description, as that truly helps me make videos like this one and cover more electric bikes and more electric bike accessories. With that, let's get into more of the interview with Kevin Duggar from Ride1Up.
All right, so you hinted at the new mid-drive model. I think a bunch of people are going to be interested in that. Anything new on tap for 2021?
Yeah, there's a number of little changes. Again, so many I don't fully want to specify because they're nothing too major. We made a lot of major changes over this spring and summer of this year, and some of that caused little struggles here and there. We changed our software around, the way pedal assist engaged, and that created a lot more troubleshooting problems. But so now, yeah, less changes on a regular basis. Kickstands are all now mounted on the chainstay, and little things like that we changed around. So we think it's in a pretty good place for each model. So other than introducing that new model, which would be here in about 10 days to 2 weeks, depending on when we can sign an agreement, and agree on pricing for some of the overseas components. We're getting kind of German engineered parts there, so that's why some of the costs are increased. But it's going to be, should be a really, really nice commuter for those that want the more high-end experience. I was riding my friend Stromer over the weekend, and it's obviously it's a pretty big difference in a nice bike at $7,000, but that's that low end car price. But some of the things that they've engineered are great. Obviously, some of the features are over the top, where I wouldn't think they're necessary. But the smoothness of their controls and acceleration and all that on a hub motor that they use it's fantastic. It's really nice, like pushing things forward. But $7,000. It's not as realistic for normal.
You could outfit your entire extended family with a Core 5 for that price.
Yeah, and some of the trade-offs, it depends what you're looking for. Some of the trade-offs or benefits that you get aren't necessarily, you're not necessarily going to be going much faster or have more performance. It's just, well, you will have more performance, I would say, but you're not going to necessarily have more range or a lighter bike in the end, depending on which bike you compare it to. But just overall, there's just more of those like Rolls-Royce or Cadillac features, that just they have a little bit more that they can offer. But again, that's that trade-off. But we are changing some other things as far as updates go. We are going to have some bikes available to test ride only in 3 locations: in San Francisco, Boston, Palo Alto, so California and Boston. In these beta stores, they're a different type of marketplace in which they form a partnership with the retailers and kind of in the tech space, and they share our products for people to test ride, but they don't take orders in the store. It's just a whole different marketplace.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to say too much I don't know what beta wants people to share about their stores, but I'm sure it's not, we've already signed our agreement, so I'm sure it's not that much of an issue to, they just have a different structure in how that works. But people can go to those stores and test ride one model. It may not be the model that they want, and that's the other trick is our models are so different. If we send them a Roadster, it's not going to compare to the 700 series, the 500 series, any of them really. I mean, that the Roadster would be so different, but it's more of the tech, young oriented bike that looks less like an e-bike and may help introduce people to e-bikes that aren't looking for some completely different looking bike. They want to look for a traditional bike. You know, it's tough to say which is the best one for people that aren't familiar with e-bikes.
Yeah, still a great option for people to still test ride, because options are somewhat limited with other brands, but still not paying the bike shop premium. I mean, that's one of the huge challenges and why a lot of people go with direct to consumer brands. And I think I'm glad you're kind of exploring some other ways to get people introduced to them. I think that's great.
Yeah.
The last point that I wanted to talk a little bit about, so before, when we talked in June or so, you had not yet introduced step-through models in all the variations, and actually I tested out the step-through Core 5 and the step-through 500 series. So I have videos on that if anyone wants to see a close-up of those. But I'm just curious what you're seeing as far as like demographics. I was looking at my YouTube stats, and I think it was like 60% of people are over 45. And so getting a step-through bike, I would imagine the take has been pretty good about that. But maybe you have other comments from what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's a little less than 50%. So it's a lot, obviously. It's about maybe 30 to 40% people like the step-through models. Men, women, any age, it really varies. It's not like a specific, I wouldn't say it's like a specific age or gender or anything, but yeah, no, they're popular. I guess the trade-off, I would say, the good reminder trade-off of a step-through versus a standard frame with the top tube is that you're just, with the top tube, you're getting a more rigid frame with a more, a stronger ride. So if you're riding more aggressively, more trails, more things where you need a top tube, step-through is probably not the right option. But if it's more casual riding and you don't want to have to lift your leg over and you want easier on-off and you're going to the stores and just, again, more relaxed riding, a step-through is perfectly fine. But yeah, like for those more aggressive ride styles, you will be, that's kind of a trade-off you get, as you've probably experienced yourself. It's a little bit more flexy without that top tube.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't notice it a whole lot, but I did notice when I was sharing them with family members and they were taking them for test rides. It was so much easier for my mom to hop on it and those sort of things. So that was great to see. And I mean, we have obviously the limited with the top tube, so direct comparison. Really nice having the accessibility.
Yeah. So let's get to those. Let's get to the.
Okay, we'll do rapid fire.
Okay.
Any plans for a 1,000 watt sustained bike with 160 newton meters of torque?
No, the 1,000 watt isn't. It's not really a bike. It's not street legal. I'm sure some people sell them and they just sell them with like the idea and concept of like, hey, this is your whole, whatever the regulation and restrictions are on the bike, it's your choice. It's a off-road private. You can ride it off-road and ride it wherever you want, but. It's just the super powerful when you get to 1,000 watt and above. I first built a 1,000 watt motor bike. That was my first e-bike because I thought it was like the amount of power I needed, and it ended up being like I would hardly ever take it to the 30 plus 35 miles an hour, just because it's kind of sketchy on a bike and takes away from like you could get a little motorcycle or a little moped. But no, we're trying to do bikes. And if you do, I don't know that many people will get pulled over or ticketed or cited or whatever for their 1,000 watt on the road use. But it's just something that's going to get the e-bike industry regulated quicker. That's what I'm worried about. I am worried when I see more bikes that are exceeding those limits in throttle and in pedal assist. They go above 28. Like 28, we're lucky. The US was like 28 is good. We'll accept this. I don't know which state first came out with that, but federally, we're lucky that 28 has been that benchmark. We'll accept a 750 watt motor at 28 miles an hour, and as long as it's pedal assist 28, then we're good. And of course, pedal assist, if you're moving your cranks, it's very easy to claim that you're pedaling. Even if you're using the throttle and just moving your cranks, it's still, our bikes will go to 28. But that's the thing. It's like I don't see the need to go above 28 and get the whole industry regulated. Obviously, I'm just one of the 200 e-bike companies, so somebody else, I'm sure they're happy to satisfy or fulfill that demand for people that just want speed. But I'm just worried that some of those people are going to end up flying by bike paths and sidewalks and hitting some kid or just doing something that's going to for everybody else.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, next question. How about designing or producing an integrated dual battery bike for longer range?
Yeah, I think that was my friend from New York, Michael. Yeah, unfortunately, no. Um, the frame structure and design would take too much for a smaller section of the market that would want or need that. I'm sure there are some people, but like we talked about Dosed, and again, I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but Dosed, dude,
I think
yeah,
that's right. I think that's right. I've talked to
Dosed.
Sam once.
You can buy, yeah, you can buy theirs. I think it's sad to say, of course, we want to fulfill everybody's demand, but no, I think no plans for that. It's if you want it, if you really need it, build a little thing on your rack for it to carry around your extra second battery, and with the key system, with our little wrench and key systems, it's it's a 5 second. You've done it before. It's a 5 second swap. I don't think you need both to be on your frame at all times. That way, when you're going on short trips, just leave without it, and you save that 9 pounds.
Yeah, and I think the battery size is maybe quite the need for like such a large battery is perhaps a little overstated. Like I think a majority of people, I mean, what is the stat, like 90% or something? I don't want to say it. Basically,
yeah, I know. And
most of your driving is less than 10 miles. So
checkers in front of us, but yeah, it is most trips, especially bike trips, most trips that you're commuting are around town and within 20 miles.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, there's circumstances where you need more.
I think the most for the people that need more, and this isn't everybody. It's not going to fit. I don't even think it would fit Michael's situation, because I think he's in New York and he is commuting, and maybe he just goes a lot of places in one day. But most people that want more than 40 miles of range, and again, too, one of the other reasons you're not getting 40 miles that most of our bikes can get to on using the motor is efficiency of that bike, tire PSI, all sorts of other features, and maybe even efficiency of some of the motors. Maybe there's more drag, or it's just some, like the hubs are too tight or something. And that, if your bike is set up efficiently, 600 plus watt hours should be good for 30-40 miles. Like you should be at least, you're not going to just go 28 the whole time, stop and go, and use your motor completely for acceleration, because that's the biggest draining point. Like ride with your wattage display out, like so you can see your active watts used, as all the bike models do have. And then you can see where you're draining the most battery. And it's on accelerations, it's on uphills, it's in the wind. But acceleration's a big one, in which people are throttling and they're using like 900 watts. And then you can cruise at a high speed with like 300-400 watts pretty efficiently, and then you can get a lot more range.
Yeah, and we did 40 miles on the limited crushed gravel, and we are very conservative on the way there. And I mean, I was using quite a bit more power, so you can get and that was on crushed gravel. So I mean, we just not
like super drags a little bit more. Yeah, not as efficient. Yeah.
All right. Last question from the Facebook group, more of a comment. They're asking about versioning your e-bikes. So when you're providing like information with other owners, or wanting to know like, oh, I have a Gen 1 Core 5, any plans to give more information on that? I mean, I feel like this kind of becomes a moot point when you stop making considerable updates. I mean, I think like with the limited, that's kind of a different story, as a brand new model with the torque sensor, and there were some changes initially, but now like that's for the most part, I imagine, is flushed out. So
yeah, there's less changes now. Little things we still want to improve and change where like the costs permit it. Headlights is one. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'll just because, again, like if I say it, it's like, well, I don't want the bike unless I have that upgrade. But it's they're not things that you can't upgrade on your own relatively easily and not that expensively. But that's one. We'll start to add more lux to the headlight, so it's more of an actual like all you need light, and you don't need to supplement it with more. Yeah, other than that, I mean, there's not a whole lot more changing. I think he was mentioning kickstand placement and other minor things like tape on the chainstay, protective tape for the chain. There were some other little things. I mean, we've made software changes now. We're not doing any more of those things for a while. We have it in a pretty good place. I know people still want little things. Like I saw somebody post like, what improvements or changes would you like to see in your models most? and they mentioned that they wanted to see lighter, more range. Like those were some of the top things, and it's like, yeah, of course, those are great, but lighter and more range don't go together.
Yeah.
Until battery technology changes, when it eventually does. You don't just get lighter, higher range batteries with the same technology. And then I think, what else did they want to see? Did you note any of those, like some of the improvements?
I was just looking, like they wanted like a versioning system.
Oh, yeah, right. The guy that wanted to see which version has what. Yeah, I mean, and they all have alloy pedals, and they all have chainstay mounted kickstands. Even the 700 series will very shortly have chainstay mounted kickstands. And I think it would be good. Maybe we'll do a blog post on our site, because it's hard to put that under the product page, because they're not key features. Tape on our chainstay aren't key features. I mean, we do have it written under the parts or components list that, hey, alloy pedals, hey, this is this updated display, so we have an image of the display. We do have those things, but like little chainstay tape, it's not really a feature we're going to advertise, because it's just tape on the chainstay, so it's like, a few bucks. And the alloy pedals, yeah, that is written out, but maybe we'll have, like I said, a blog post where I'll have one of the employees or team members go through and write out, like, here's generation notes, or here's like features of current generation, and maybe we'll do like a bullet point list of all the little, minute things. One of the ones that's tricky though to do is right, like, hey, sidewall tires, how the sidewall on some of our tires have the reflective strip and some don't. And some have different versions of a derailleur. They'll have a Alivio or an upgraded Acera. As I mentioned, they're like the MD 2000 Acera, so it's a nicer one. But that little change we didn't do on purpose on all of them, in the sense that we worked with what was available. Obviously, we pre-ordered these things months in advance, right? Like months and months in advance, but still significant delays from Shimano, significant delays from Schwalbe. Their tires just aren't available. So we luckily in the fall, late summer of this year, not really fall actually, really about August, we pre-ordered a lot of components, a lot of components at considerable cost, but knowing, luckily the people I work with suggested through considerable, industry insight, that there were going to be problems with these components. So I have I work with overseas QC people that I have a good relationship with, and then of course our factory relationships. They're seeing what's going on, and they're making suggestions all the time, of course, as we work together. But one of the things we had to do was pre-order maybe 8,000 sets of tires and 8,500 sets of these components. So that way, we switched to, and then that's another quick note, is that when we switched some of those components, the derailleurs and the brakes actually on the 700 series, we switched from the Shimano M200s to the Tektro, I think it's like E350. There's a model name, but it's these dual piston Tektro. They have their cutoff sensor integrated with it's like a lever, as opposed to the M200s are standard hydraulic brakes. They're not actually meant for e-bikes. Right. So what we have was that magnet system where, there's a little magnet going into the lever, and it pulls behind the receiver magnet on the that you attach to the right below the brake lever. So it's a little like third-party system that integrates standard hydraulic brakes. So they're cheap. I mean, it's a huge cost saving for us to use the Shimano M200s. I think it's like $16 or so dollars less per brake system, 2 brakes. So it's great. I mean, I like the Shimano's got good performance. But they're a year and a half out on being able to produce those. So we just, we can't use them, unfortunately, which is tough for the per unit cost, of course, because we want to stick to our price point. And some people see them and they're like, oh, well, I got these Tektro brakes and not the Shimano ones. And it's like, it's changes that we make. Like I could have, or we could have easily just gone for a cheaper hydraulic brake and one that, we could still use that same magnet system on a cheaper hydraulic brake, but we don't really want to make changes that aren't advertised or changes to the product line that are downgrades.
Right.
So we're trying to only, we're trying to make only changes that are upgrades to them, especially if they're unknown. If you're going to get something and it's going to be different, you don't want it to be different in a lower level,
Yeah.
So that's with that being said, yeah, the tires from Schwalbe, we actually, and this is a decision that's always going to be tough because I think it splits the audience halfway, is I want the ones without the reflective sidewall for the product. That's was always the intent. Some companies go reflective sidewall, some don't. You can always add reflective sidewall strips in tape. You can add individual pieces. It's, Amazon has those little kits and they're like a few bucks, or you can go to any store, bike shop, and reflective sidewall or just reflective tape. But still, some people will be disappointed if they get the sidewall or don't. And I don't know your stance on it. It seems like kind of a minor thing, but to everyone, it's not always a minor thing to everyone. But we pre-ordered thousands of Schwalbe tires without the reflective sidewall, so we don't want. It's hard to in the notes, like if we create this blog and we write, okay, this generation, or here we have a reflective sidewall. Well, we store 400. If I open up our inventory, we may have like 400, 700 series bikes right now. And some are different generations. Barely. We produced. We're at the point where we're making a lot, so they're basically the same generation. We haven't changed much of anything, other than maybe like one part on it might be different to be able to to produce in a timely manner. So we may have tires with reflective sidewall or without, and it's very hard to, if you have 400 in inventory, and you're using the same SKU because it's the exact same product, it's hard to note, okay, well, that was Gen 2.745. That was, it becomes like over something that, like, if it was a major change, totally. That's why when we change this limited, if we do, to a cadence sensor instead of a torque, that's a major change. That's gonna require a different SKU, different product, different identification. So that way, when people get it, you can't be buying that expecting a torque sensor and get a cadence sensor and be okay with it. But getting a slightly different derailleur isn't hopefully to people isn't a deal breaker, because it really
shouldn't be. As
long as it's an upgrade, or from what was listed, it's not a downgrade, then I think it shouldn't be at all, of course. But my perspective.
And of course with the tire thing, it's like, well, eventually, hopefully you're riding your bike enough that you're gonna go through a set of tires and then you can do what you want. Or like I've been working with Custom Tailor 33, which sells like now e-bike specific ones, and they're a little bit higher vis, but I have those on 2 of our e-bikes, and they have like different colors and stuff, so you can do some like really fun customization. So and then it's on the rim and not on the tire, which is cool. So
most bikes have them on the tire, the reflective sidewalls. You can totally add that tape to your rim. When you're running disc brakes, there's no reason why you can't add reflective tape to your rim. It's easier to attach to.
Yeah, and then let's see, last thing I think we want to talk about. So I've been tracking holiday sales or Black Friday sales for a lot of the e-bike companies that I follow, and I'm going to be sending out an email to my list, hopefully like this week with the first batch, and then we'll see more as we get close to Thanksgiving. But do you want to share with the audience what you have on tap for the holiday season?
We'll have discounts. It's hard to state which ones, because it's variable. It depends what we have in stock, what our availability is like, and they're not going to be huge. As you know, we're priced more like that Costco pricing structure or the wholesale pricing structure, where we don't run coupons or sales or discounts, because we don't have a lot of margins for it. But of course, over the holidays, Black Friday, we will be running the best that we can possibly do, which isn't, hopefully it's makes people happy. We do, we want to try to offer some discount during the sales periods, but I would say it would range from $50 to $150, depending on the per bike, depending on the model. depending on our inventory. So it very well may be the unpopular colors or models that have the larger discount. So maybe they're looking at only $50 of a discount on the ones that are nearing sold out or sold out that we have no inventory of, because it doesn't make sense, as you could imagine, to have large sales on things that we're struggling to keep in stock.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if anyone wants to be up to date with that, obviously the I'd want your email list, I'm sure you're going to share, but I'll be sharing it with my email list, and I will share it as soon as I have it. So if anyone wants to join,
on our contact page, you can sign up for email updates. Sorry to interrupt.
Yep. Yeah, no. So yeah, I just have my email list as well, where I'll be sharing everything, so you can kind of get a consolidated report if you're in the market. And I know you discounted the 700 series for 3 days, like last week or the week before. So
yeah, the XR Blue we had a good amount of inventory of, so we did get a little sale on that. Like you could imagine, when the Black Friday sales run around, the sales, like I say, will be predicated on the inventory. It'll vary. So we will be able to offer a better sale for the ones that we have a lot of inventory of.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time, Kevin, and I hope everyone enjoyed this discussion. You can check out Ride1Up at ride1up.com. I have tons of content on my website and YouTube channel if you want to learn more. Hopefully more next year. Definitely want to check out whatever you're building for that mid-drive. So stay tuned. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, thank you for hosting. I'm glad that I've been a little bit caught up in the whole world of e-bikes lately, since the fall is kind of our slow period. So I was able to catch up with you, and it's been fun talking with you.